So they've got the underdogs tournament that led to this, right? They should really do like a like I know this sounds silly and it's almost like a joke, but I'm actually somewhat serious about this because there's a lot of really good young players in StarCraft 2, but they should have like a young kids like under like young pups tournament or something, and
A
invite
pup
specifically
tournament?
yeah like Clem and Raynor, adjacent like the other like really younger players. Intense even I
Oh,
think would fall
that's
into this category like.
that's kind of cute. You need like a picture of like a little ooh.
It's like that little insanity wolf, you know that meme? Like,
Yeah.
wife pissed me off this morning. I left the toilet seat up. All right.
Yep.
Thank you, Katie the Neko, for resubbing for 19 months. Thank you, Garnia, for resubbing for
Woo!
2. Thank you guys for kicking off this cast with a bit of love. But we are getting into what is the Top Dogs round of 8. We'll discuss what that is more in a moment. But to begin, spawning in the bottom left, he's good enough to qualify for, but not old enough to play in WCS. He's going to be the red Terran player, Clem.
In the top right, as the blue Protoss, he's Millennium's Lilbow.
Alright, so to explain what Top Dogs is in a bit of a TLDR fashion, because to be honest, guys, I'm not fully... This is just what I've been told for the most part, but... Top Dogs is like this really cool tournament that OGaming's been doing. It's about promoting French players, French community, all that great stuff. And specifically, you'll see badass players today. Lilbow, Drogo, Firecake, and Marine Lord on one side. They're the top dogs. They're the best players in France, etc. Then you've got the underdogs that have been playing in this French-only tournament. Again, mostly amateurs. I think it's open to Quebec and a couple other regions, but you have people like Clem winning those and qualifying for the Top Dogs main event. Again, as well, like a $1,200 something tournament, or euro, excuse me. So today they are pitting the underdogs versus the Top Dogs. This is the round of 8. They're all best of 5s, and that's what we're casting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, when I first heard about this whole Clem thing and, not being eligible, I just automatically assumed he was Zerg, to be honest. Like, not that I was like, oh, Clem's
Because you
Zerg.
like nice win rate Zerg.
No. But not like, because I wasn't like, oh, Clem the Zerg. I was like, oh, a young person in Europe is doing well. I just figured
Okay.
like Zerg in the background, right? So it was really a surprise to hear that Clem was Terran.
Well,
I don't know what it is. It's not that Zerg is overpowered. It's just that I feel there's a lot of Zerg in Europe, so it's not my fault.
So I'm with you on that Zerg part, but actually, when you think about the history of like young players being well and good, it's like you got Marine Lord, not so young anymore, obviously, but when he started, he was. You got Hero Marine. Like, there's so many. It's actually Terran players that were for the longest time the young prodigies of StarCraft.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. I mean, you just brought up Intense, and like a lot of these guys are now not so young, right? Like they're going into college now, actually. But 3 years ago when they first started appearing on the scene, they were these young guys, and they all like it was like a Terran like growth spurt or something. I don't know. And I guess I should have taken that into consideration, but that made me like a lot more excited. Not gonna lie, of course that's hashtag Terran bias or whatever, but to see the Terran doing really well and getting up and whatnot, but unfortunately, yeah, he can't play in the offline tournaments.
So I really like this start from Clem, by the way, for those who don't know what I'm admiring here. The bunker on the low ground prevents any sort of pylon assaults. I think all too commonly out of all variety of top-tier StarCraft players. Mana being one of the best examples of notoriousness for it is just walking across the map, throwing some pylons at the bottom of the ramp and busting your front, following through the depths, and just making your life hell.
It's always an obnoxious part of the matchup, but really we don't see it that often anymore in TVP. It's a bit cheesy. I mean, almost the same level as a proxy Stargate used to be in Heart of the Swarm. Like, it used to happen all the time.
Oh my god, yeah.
But like, people just got used to it, so it wasn't even like they didn't really feel that dedicated. They do it on like a 2 base, they do it on 1 base, how they do it on 3 base, it didn't matter.
It was like almost like to make a macro build, you had to build your Stargate in proxy.
Yeah, exactly. It was pretty standard, but then people got used to it and they started dealing well with it, and they just, it was something that you had to be wary of, but never really, it didn't happen all the time.
So, Clem's doing something really kind of old school here. He's going to put double tech labs on the factory and the starport and just swap the barracks over them after, which is kind of a cool way to go about doing it, but also paired up with a third CC. I mean, this is notably different, not because it's a strategy that's brand new, but because everybody we've seen playing lately has been going more towards all-ins as Terran, more towards sticking on 2 bases and just throwing down like 5 barracks instead of 3. I like the way he's doing this. This is a bit of an old standard, but I think it's a really clean way to build.
Yeah, we see have the 2 base tank pushes. We saw Tang with 2 base Liberator pushes. We saw Keen, I think, with like 2 base bio pushes. So yeah, okay, that utterly failed. That's disappointing.
Oh, this is really disappointing. What do you call it when Tang does a 2 tank push though?
2 tank push.
The tank
Two,
push.
two tank push.
The tank push.
Anyway, so you're not wrong with that, but I agree that well, I guess you didn't really say like you liked it, but I like 3cc more than these 2 base pushes, even though that the 2 base tank push, can be very effective. Damn it, can be very
Accidental
effective.
tongue twister.
It can be very effective, and that's certainly something that Protoss will having trouble with. The 3cc into like eventual Liberator, I don't know, like
What?
it feels borderline like safer as well as just like a better way for Terran to play.
Okay, last silly remark on this. You ready? What happens if there's a German stream casting it? It's the tank push.
Push. This is a bit of a problem, actually. This is a lot of Blink Stalkers.
It is, but I feel like there should be enough bio to drive this back.
There is.
The Observer's is certainly a nuisance because you won't get to use the Widowmine the way he wants to, but I think yeah, I saw it. So there we go. Scans it, picks it off. Not bad. This Widowmine, by the way, not about getting kills, but getting that hit for just like an EMP shield reduction. So not too bad, but still a lot of Blink Stalkers though.
Yeah, he just warped in like 6 more, and Clem doesn't have stim, so
I like pulling back to the top. I think this is a much better decision.
But he might just lose the 30 anyways. Like, this was too bold from Clem. Like, he saw the amount of stalkers that was easily pushed back, and we were like, okay, that should be easy. But with that many Blink stalkers, I mean, it really should be like, okay, they're gonna continue to try and pressure me. Like, they don't just make that many Blink stalkers and go home and do nothing. So that was definitely his bad, and he lost the 30 off of it. And now this has turned into more and more of an all-in, as Clem's in a lot of trouble. So he goes for like a 3 medevac drop, not necessarily like a doom drop, but borderline. But Lilbow is going back home because he realized it's kind of Clem's only shot here to get return damage, as well as, well, maybe get the macro game going again with a 3rd CC planted down. But as it has to actually finish and turn an orbital, it's so long to wait for it.
I like the idea behind what Clem's trying to do, especially with, harass your opponents so you can do stuff. But yeah, it's going to die. It is not going to work, and that's going to be game. GG!
Yeah. Very abrupt, but I think a lot of it had to do with not a lack of scouting, to be honest, but just to think, okay, they have stalkers, they have a lot of stalkers, or they have a lot of stalkers all offensively, okay, I need to be careful. It's just not what most TVPs are. Like 80% or something like that is more about like adepts, and warp prisms and going to that 3rd base and that usual composition we see and not Blink Stalker attacks. So I think Clem is just caught off guard.
Yeah, it's unfortunate too because that's Dusk Towers. Like, I feel like if there's one map you don't mind playing a game versus Protoss on, it's gonna be the more standard normalized maps. Lilbow especially is someone who's absolutely capable of hitting you with like dirty builds and scary all-ins, and I think you don't want to be facing him on something like Coral Carnage Knockout or Frozen Temple, and again, favoritism towards some of the old maps that have been played for longer. But I guess they've got a kind of a cool schedule set up for this. So about every 2 or so games is going to be about a 2-minute break or so, and then I guess every series there's going to be an 8-minute break. The 8-minute break is not something I'm looking forward to, but I'm glad that they've laid out the schedule so we're not sitting here with like a question mark, like, what are we doing next?
That's a good point. 8 minutes is so long.
Yeah,
it's a lot of commercials.
Also, mic volume was down. Sorry, guys. It should be up now. I had forgotten that we had messed with me unplugging my compressor, which required me to turn it down for some reason.
Damn it. This is the second time I declined the guy. Oh, no. I hit accept. Okay. Phew.
You're, like, just unnecessarily declining the item. It's like, you know what? I'm here. I'm ready to cast, but not yet. Hang on.
I have some serious miss micro.
This is why we play Archon mode. I'm the micro player.
Yeah.
All right. Frozen Temple. We'll see you all in just a moment for game number 2. Remember, it's a best of 5. So Clem, not a great start, but he's hardly out of this yet. Oh my lord. I hope Gaming had just simply messed up in that first game because I saw that they had tweeted a picture of the default overlay. All right. Welcome back, everybody. We're going to get a game. Just a quick acknowledgement to Kitty the Neko. I know it's going to be over by the time you hear this, but this guy regularly does giveaways of CD keys he buys on G2A, and to claim them, you do it through Steam, so good luck. Have fun if anyone still has a chance to, but just letting you guys know, he's legit and it's not some random spam. Spawning here on the bottom right side of game number 2, though he's currently down 1 in the series. It's going to be the Red Jaren player, Clem.
In the top left, as the blue Protoss, it's Millennium's Lilbow.
Also, shoutouts and thank you for Kitty always being cool and doing those giveaways. Now, Clem, we talked a little bit about him getting caught off guard, and I would certainly agree with a lot of that. His Reaper getting picked off early certainly didn't help, but it kills me because I really thought his macro was fine. Just the greed of that 3rd CC moving out so soon. Nah. That's all I can really say there. Like, if that didn't go down, like that probably wouldn't have ended the game as quickly as it did, but that desperation push.
Yeah. I mean, there's two things, right? There is like the Widowmine drop that also did no damage. Like, that isn't a great start either. But, you know, consider that you're going for 3rd CC, something like that. It sucks, but it should be something that is not a problem 3 or 4 minutes later where you're hoping to get to. But then just... because that technically was a scout, even though it didn't get to see like buildings, it saw how many Blink Stalkers took out the medevac, but maybe Clem wasn't looking. But I think it was more like you just weren't anticipating that. I mean, you have some guy in chat saying like, what a lot of bullshits, like Blink Stalker and Adepts is hugely popular. I mean, not from what we see. Like, it's certainly a build, especially on Dusk Towers. Like, Blink Stalker on Dusk Towers happens quite frequently, I suppose, like on like my ladder games, and we do see it occasionally in pro games, but more often whenever we get to see a TVP, it is about Adepts and Warp Prisms and what they're going to do with that than it is about a huge Blink Stalker attack. And that was a huge Blink Stalker attack. It was pure Blink Stalker.
Let me ask you this too. Well, by the way, on that note, if you had just done like the tank push, you probably wouldn't find too funny enough. But on the Widowmine drop note, what's your preference on this? Do it with the Marines or just go with 2 Widowmines?
If I'm gonna go for a 3rd CC, I guess just do it with 2 Widowmines. If it's a 1 base or 2 base Widowmine, then I think I'd bring the Marines.
I really see, for me, combination like what I've tried myself, but more so what I've seen other players do. I'm actually been really favoring the extra Marines lately, and I feel like one of the smallest underappreciated aspects of it is sometimes it will just unload the Marine first. The auto attack sends the warning, and some Protoss players, I'm not saying Lilbow, Widow, will just pull the probes immediately, and that's when the Widowmine comes handy because they're stacked up at that point. Wrecked. Not that it was again hugely influential, or not. Just curious about your thoughts, because I know you and I play the game very differently.
That's certainly true. I mean, my
Widowmine drops involve bringing the factory, dropping it into their main.
Of course. If you only bring the Widowmines, I mean, you really are just looking to like drop in and go, right? Like, just not even that much micro. You're more about looking back at home and macroing, and hopefully the the medevac rather gets out alive. But if you bring the Marines, it feels like you really are going to look for those abusive spots, like in between the bases, to kill like a soccer and a mothership or something like that. And for instance, like here, I guess he could do that. Oh no, he's not going to. Puts reactors on his starport and his factory. He's the single Widowmine in his mineral line in case it was an Oracle opener, because unfortunately he did not really get a scout. I think his Reaper got to see 1 pylon. Congratulations. And then the base killed from the very early game.
It's like looking into Medusa. You're like, okay, I saw you.
Yeah. So Lilbow once again is going into Blink here, and I mean, if Clem, he's not going to know. Like, he actually has less scouting than he did last game, even with the hard denial last game. Because the Reaper was hard denied this game, and he has no medevac drop follow-up. That's just a Marine off to the right. So he's not going to even be able to see how many Blink Stalkers there are. Or Stalkers.
I think that... well, the scout on the 3rd is a bit misleading, actually. Blink Stalkers, first off, are really good, and not necessarily because you want to go for the attack. If you end up loading up your Warp Prism and setting up for a big Blink Stalker all in, like, yeah, that'll work in some instances. But what I really like about it is just we saw that last game, how good they are at catching drops, how quickly they can reposition themselves. Frozen Temple is not at all like Dust Towers, and getting between all 3 bases is like 1 blink.
Yeah. Well... I guess one thing is Clem is really good at denying these observers, so he's trying to like have Lilbow with as little scouting as he has, but it's not a problem for Lilbow, it looks like. I mean, he sees the army, you get the general idea of what the Terran is doing. In this game, Clem's going for like 2 base and holding off in that 3rd CC, which only came down now. So he should be like, you know, able to get a little bit of aggression here. Got to be careful about those drops though, because it is Blink Stalkers.
You know, another aspect too, the last game was only 1 Widow Mine. Let's not forget some got lost in the drop, but also on top of that, like, the one that there wasn't really too effective thanks to that observer. We actually have quite a few Widow Mines this time, and it's worth noting, while Stalkers are usually not the first party to get hit by said Widow Mines, again, if you can just get like 1 or 2 shots off, even if it doesn't kill the Stalker and they blink away, they do that last second micro, as long as the splash hits the shields, that's what you're aiming for. Because once those shields go down, that's when the Marauders really, really go to town. And it rhymes too. So that's how you know it's true.
Totally. Yeah, rhymes.
No combat shields starting though. He's got
Oh,
the
you get a
money
second.
for it. There we go. Okay.
Yeah. You can almost get a second observer. I think he saw it actually, but doesn't want to scan again for it. Can't scan again for it. Well, I still don't like that. Shouldn't be the turn to move out, but it's actually Lilbow is moving into the bio. If he caught him on a concave on the high ground, maybe that would have been actually a really good start, but he's gonna have to just catch him defending his natural.
Well, Blink Stalker is frustrating to deal with because if Lilbow does it right, he should never really lose units, and that's, I think, where the strength of this comes into play. But for now, he decides to back away, not getting too dedicated. The Observer got picked off once again. This immediately leads into a load off, but does the Observer see it? No. It just sees the Widow Mines. So Clem very well may have been able to sneak past Lilbow, but again, problem being, this map is deceptively long. Like, it's actually kind of short. For Lilbow to go back home, it's not too difficult. He's going to walk up here and try and pick off the Widow Mines. This might signal that, hey, the army appears to be missing.
He just fully unloaded off to the right to really
like
sneak
that.
attack into the 3rd base.
I like that because he got picked off.
That 3rd.
His medevacs got picked off last game before he even unloaded any units. So I like that he pre-unloaded. It takes a little bit longer to get here, but it guarantees he gets here in one piece.
Yeah. And that definitely is a 3rd snipe there.
Yeah, nicely done.
Lilbow, he has Blink Stalker. He started warping in Adept, but he doesn't have the double upgrades quite yet, so that still has a really big army.
Oh, the Widow
Mines
hits. Kill the Mothership Core, too.
Very
not
nice.
Bad.
This is not a army fight Clem is looking to actually take, despite being up 30 army supply.
Right, and a lot of that's actually back at home, not here at the front lines. He's got +1, which is really nice for him. Now, as we see, the stock is just absolutely melting, but this is the problem when you're trying to disengage your Protoss army. There's Blink. They can chase you. Clem was expecting this. The second the Blink happened, he stopped on a dime, turned around, shot a couple of Stalkers, he'll run away once again. Blink's gonna come off cooldown, rinse, repeat. The problem is, though, for Clem that I'm worried about is look at what's in the production tab, Zombie Grub.
Colossus. That is interesting. Clem, he has a pretty good army supply. He's gonna have decent upgrades at the very least, with 1-1 versus 1-1. The bunkers seem very unnecessary. He knows what the army count looked like, and it wasn't so scary for Lilbow.
Well,
so
I think the important aspect to note was he saw Adepts, Stalkers, and Mortals. He didn't see Zealots, so the emergency bunkers definitely seem a little bit odd. But unfortunately, Clem is also playing to what's currently in play, and he didn't see the Colossus. Now, it's worth noting, if there's Disruptors over Colossus, yeah, they got the potential for more damage, but they also have the potential to be extremely useless. So for Lilbow to go back into Colossus, we've seen a couple players really make this, well, work. And even with Liberators being what they are, Colossus can take a few hits, and Colossus deal a lot of damage before going down. But I think the biggest aspect is, even with their damage nerf, 3 or 4 Colossus can pretty easily melt the bio that protect the Liberators, allowing those Stalkers to blink forward and take out the Liberators.
Well, I guess Clem, it feels like a really good position for him. He is up so much in army supply, but he's going to play really defensive and just try and get a Liberator count up. Then that gives Lilbow a lot of time to make up for that 3rd snipe.
Nice count with a medevac.
Yeah, the scouts at Colossus and actually gets out alive. Didn't expect that. So, I mean, we'll see. He's still going to stick on those Liberators.
Yeah, a bit of paranoia coming down out of Clem, not unjustly so. He wanted to see where the bases were because, when the medevac flew over this side, he saw no 4th. He wanted to make sure he wasn't, actually far behind with his opponent taking a 4th. But what he's doing behind this is he is getting Liberator range. He did get that Fusion Core, and he's got more Liberators on the way. And the way you really have to play this versus Protoss, at least when there's no Tempest in play, is you got to be able to leapfrog those Liberators forward. You need like the second row of Liberators protecting the front row of Liberators because you expect and assume Stalkers are going to blink underneath them or blink to the side of them and try and pick them off. You can hope your bio holds strong, but most of the time, frankly, it can't, or you just can't target the Stalkers down fast enough. The interesting thing, though, that is worth noting is Colossus, we know from the history of StarCraft 2, are tall enough that air can shoot them, and in some rarer instances, Liberators in anti-air mode might be more effective than anti-ground, all depending on the situation.
It's really interesting that Lilbow is not only going for Colossus, because he got 4, and then he's like, okay, that's enough, but also adding on those Disruptors after, so he will actually have a lot of splash damage, but he's also considering, I guess, more direct forms of taking out those Liberators and just taking out the bio from underneath and then taking them out with the Blink Stalkers by going up to that Fleet Beacon. I assume is going to be a couple Tempests, but we actually have a Void Ray on the Production tab.
He's also got to buy time for those Tempests. This attack coming in, there's no real upgrade advantage here. There's no like +3 going or anything like that, but all these medevacs, Clem, why?
Oh, God.
Boost!
Yeah, not bothering. This is 2.
Okay. 2 for free is actually, you would normally argue not a big deal, but you're producing Liberators now. You don't take breaks to replace medevacs.
He is one of the few, like, this is one of the few times that we have not yelled at a Terran for not having a lot of medevacs, so, I mean, kudos in that department. There's been a lot of games that we've cast where they went way too quickly into Liberators and only had, like, 2 medevacs, and they got sniped.
Yeah, better players than Clem have lost to stupider things. Now, these Widowmines are trying to advance forward, and a big part of what they're doing is trying to keep the Stalkers at bay, allowing the Liberators to keep advancing. As we see, it's a small leapfrog, but it's a leapfrog effect nonetheless, just to try and keep getting more and more forward, try and get on top of the Stalkers. They do blink forward as expected. Disruptor Balls coming in to zone out that bio. Stalkers are targeting down the Liberators, and most of that front line falls. It's worth noting that Clem does kill a considerable portion of Lilbow's army in the process.
Now, that was a very dangerous push in, but it didn't work out so badly for, you know, going up a ramp and a choke. The upgrades were also in favor of Lilbow. I wanted to mention that beforehand. Oh, that's pretty risky. Yeah, the Liberators need some help if they want to stay there, so we just have to leave whatever army left behind and hope the drop pulls the army back.
This is where I get frustrated at the matchup, man. Like, once Tempest come into play, I'm like, what do you do? I see all these Terran players we cast, they have all these Marines, but all mine just tend to die. I guess while this went on, 2 Adepts have been killing several SCVs. I didn't realize 13 SCVs went down through this, and I guess Clem didn't either until just this moment. Liberator's going to set up defensively. Widowmine gets a decent shot, but those drops are coming back home and not attacking into Lilbow's 4th. So he is really, really like all in on the defense.
Don't lose the medevacs.
Don't lose the Liberators. Don't lose anything.
Don't lose anything. Yeah, ideally. This is still, like, he has a decent army supply to take this on, but it's about finding that concave, which Lilbow would allow him to get. If his Colossus stay behind a little bit too off to the side, maybe you could snipe those. Center.
That second starport going down was pretty nasty. He's really trying to get on top of this. Now, keep in mind, guys, that in Days of Old, you could actually just do Maru-style focus fire on the Colossus with those Marauders. He's really relying on the Liberators to do most of the damage. And there we go, focus fire on top of the Colossus. They go down immediately, but does that cost him too much of his army?
It just might. I mean, there's not an even army supply, but of course Clem had to pull the SCVs into that, as well as losing so many to the earlier Adepts. So he's down to 28 SCVs, and he needs to go all in with his army right now. He has even upgrades. It's really one opportunity to just try and return the damage, so maybe this game could go on for longer. But Clem at 28 SCVs, like, I guess he's trying to remake them, like one SCV at a time, but...
While this was going on, if he had actually gone through with his drop to the north, I guess he was deterred by the cannons, but maybe if he had actually gotten kills, this could have been a better equalizer. I don't know. Either way, it's not a great spot for Clem. He is going to try and snipe off the Nexus. I like the focus fire on this. There's a lot of Marauders after all, but if he doesn't kill those Stalkers, he doesn't have a safe way out of the base.
Oh, he gets enough out of there to make it worth it. Now, that was just a Nexus snipe. There wasn't like a ton of probes along with it and, you know, defending warp-ins as well. And the Tempest, well, they actually... Stalkers, too. Actually trades out a little bit with the Stalkers at the end, I suppose.
Oh, get the Disruptors. Not a bad trade if you kill 2 Disruptors for it, but definitely not worth such a large portion of his army. Yeah,
when he can't remake the army, especially, still at only 30 workers. And yeah, actually lost a big chunk of medevacs too, so he's down to 1. This is game, actually. Lilbow,
I would say so as well, yeah.
Can't lose. He has to start a base trade, but it's hard without medevacs.
Like, so Lilbow could lose if he just walks into all the Liberators. We've actually seen that happen before, sadly. But with the Tempest here to slowly push them back, I can't imagine that actually happens.
Yeah.
Mistletoe gets to shoot a Tempest for the first time in history. That's kind of cool.
Look at it.
I should take all the shields off of it. Not bad.
This would have been the best opportunity for Clem, taking like a concave on the top of that ramp. He actually just goes off to the right once again. We'll still find a kind of a surround here, even with a couple Marauders on the left side, with a drastically reduced army.
The surround is pretty sick, but it is just not enough of an army to fight this.
Yep.
Credit goes to the fact that he once again pulled SCVs, but GG's going to get called. And Lilbow will take a 2-0 lead here in the series. Now for us, this will send us to our first commercial break of the day. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. And thank you for watching. We'll be back in a few minutes with whatever game number 3 is. Because not everyone's going to... Like, I've got EDTs +3 from me. Europe's like CETs +9. Like, I've got all that down pat. I don't assume anyone else does, though.
I would just Google it.
All right, well, this is a best of 5, and we are now getting into game number 3. We go to the Korean map, but the foreign planet known as Rakshir. And spawning the top left side of this is going to be Millennium's Lilbow.
In the bottom right, as the red Terran, it is Clem.
And people are asking about the hair thing again. I don't know. Do you want to explain it?
Oh boy. Donate to change my hair color, basically. Whoever has the highest donation will be the color that I change to when we're in Texas. So.
Yeah, just one point of clarity on that. If you want to donate specifically for the hair, by all means, go ahead. Don't let me stop you. But the idea isn't like this isn't some fundraiser where we need money to do blank or anything like that. We're just trying to make some fun with the current donations we're getting. So if you do plan to donate anything, just add the color to your donation message so we can add it to the total tally of each color individually.
Yeah. I see a lot of people actually starting to get kind of frustrated because I guess they figured the hair color change would happen sooner. I mean, I'm pretty sure we said this. There's still like a week to go almost. Like Thursday midnight is probably going to be the cutoff because then we leave Friday for Texas and then Saturday's the wedding, so I can't fit that in between. So it's going to be sometime next week, which you probably won't see me anyway until DreamHack for the CSO finals. And then that'll be when my hair is different. Oh my god.
Yeah, and you guys better believe I'll be taking about 1 million stupid pictures and tweeting all of them.
Yeah, of course.
I think I gotta be like one of the more annoying people to hang out with at events because I love taking pictures of just freaking everything.
Well, I mean, yeah, you know.
No, don't agree with that. What the fuck? Do not agree with that.
No, I'm not agreeing with it. I was gonna say like you're the record keeper.
I'm the social media guy. Actually, that's Olivia's job. She's head of social media for BaseTradeTV. She better do her fucking job at her own wedding. I swear to God, if she's not taking pictures and tweeting.
This isn't her job at the wedding.
Actually, that's true. Her job at the wedding is to get married. That's it.
Is to do things correctly. Say I do, not I don't.
Yeah, don't run away. Don't.
Yep.
Don't find another man to sleep with the night before. You know, pretty standard wedding things.
Yeah. That's her job. All right. Silliness aside, this has been. I feel like Clem has gotten better in the was better in the last game basically, and maybe he'll do even better in this game. But like that first game really felt like he was caught off guard by mass blink stalker. Like he was predicting something else. But Lilbow now like confirmed going blink stalker at least the second time as well early on. He should be like fine with that. I mean he's more careful with his Reaper this time as well.
So we don't actually get to cast Lilbow a whole hell of a lot, but in the few things we have, like the IEM qualifiers or WTS qualifiers, etc., like he does seem to favor Blink Stalkers. And I don't necessarily mean the all-in version, but we'll see Blink, I'd say, in every single game, no matter what. Clem may not have like remembered or clued into this right away. I think a big part of that was like that first game reminding him, and that second game saying, like, here, let me show you how to deal with this. But it did get to that point where, like, again, I personally get stuck on this. We've seen a couple other Terran players just beat it with good sheer force of will and macro, but like once Tempest come into play, it is such a weird block in the matchup because on one hand you say, okay, well, if I can't engage that army because the Tempests are too strong, you know that they're too slow, and you start dropping around it. A map like First and Temple, though, is kind of short, kind of small, so it's hard to actually drop around it. Looking at Rakshir, though, like this is a map I can see you getting around a Protoss army. This is a map I can see like you bait an attack at the third while you drop in the main type thing. Yeah,
it is a very odd-looking map. It's specifically because I guess the base layouts are so odd. You know, you have the standard, you know, upper left, bottom right, and the expansions are fine as well. But then you have like, you know, these gold bases in the middle, I believe. Yeah, the
Yeah.
gold bases in the middle that people have actually tried to take. We see it. We saw it back with the
Sidebag
race wars. Yeah, and I assume it happens in GSL. And you have the questionable fourths, like the thirds. Like, I guess kind of makes sense. You could break on these rocks, take that one. But then the fourths are on like a plateau or like the north for Cham.
I gotta
Just a little odd.
imagine. I gotta imagine you take down the rocks like every time, like for
Receiving
third on
incoming
this one.
transmission.
Well, the point is, it can be a really funky looking map. You've got to recall that the middle of the map is blocked by rocks, so he's like
So-
getting around.
Yeah, he's gonna take this one. Now I do believe this is the real Riomar.
Do
Last
you?
time I'm pretty sure it wasn't, but this time I'm pretty sure it is. Because this donation says, I say white, also hi, with a $69 amount.
Ooh.
I'm pretty sure that's Riomar.
Yeah. Plus, he's back. And he's in
There we go,
chat.
literally in chat it says BaseTradeTV. This one is really me, not like the one yesterday.
Hi.
Hi Riomar, hope you're doing well, dude. Thank you very much. I'll figure out the math for that later. My math has been terrible lately, so I'm gonna bust out a calculator. Oh, that's depressing.
Bad. Feels bad.
He was really good at
Well-
sniping observers last game, and the worst part was if you just pulled the Marines out of the bunker, or I guess that was Marauders. Never mind. I was gonna say he couldn't get it, then I guess no matter what. Now he is
Nope.
gonna be dropping around the sides of the map, and Lilbow should be able to intercept and see this with the observer.
Yeah, it is so dangerous. So the observer that almost died, but didn't quite, did see that there was a sizable army, and then that there wasn't a sizable army. Like, he saw that something was amiss. He didn't actually see the drop pick up, I believe. So to actually, to do this, especially when you consider that potent overcharges have been wrecking Clem's drops in the last 2 games, it's very dangerous, because, that's a lot of army to lose just stuck in those drops, and then that would have been an opening for Lilbow to potentially start his own pressure with the amount of Blink Stalkers that he has, while Clem is getting to his third base.
Well, normally in this situation, I agree with what Clem was trying to do, and you go for the heavier drops. I think, again, with Rakshir being what it is, and you look at the base layout, it just, to me at least at a glance, is so much more intuitive to say, drop at the third with 1, and drop at the main with 1. It guarantees you get probe kills. Whereas if you just go both, you're risking maybe getting a couple more kills, but you're likely getting shut down all at the same time. Also, the observer did see Clem knock down those rocks, so the stalker's going to sneak around. This is going to stall out the third CC. Maybe?
Hopefully
Yeah.
just all
Oh my
out.
God.
Oh,
You see
like a
71 out of
second.
71? Can someone at Blizzard please teach David Kim what 100% means? God. Anyway.
Well, I was more worried that it actually might kill the CC.
Oh,
Like
this
that's
is-
that's a lot of
this
Blink
is over.
Stalkers, and
This
that
is-
it's just not. I don't know, like Clem, I saw someone note that, like, okay, I watched his games in the WCS run and he was doing a lot better, so I don't know what it is. Maybe it's a style Lilbow plays, maybe it's just an off day for him, but he has not been doing so well, keeping thirds
think-
alive, keeping medevacs alive.
I think a lot of it really does have to do with a little bit, because not a lot of people will go as Blink Stalker heavy as he does, much less as early as he does.
It's not what we've been seeing from our European Cup, so I agree, like Lilbow, he's I mean, that's what he was known for, so it's not a surprise. It shouldn't be anyway. Like, his Blink Stalker control and Heart of the Swarm, I feel like it's made him, like, the foreigner hope that he was. But in Legacy of the Void, it's just, well, they caught Clem off guard.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
All right, 396 plus 69 is 465. Riomar's got all kinds of weird number symmetry going on right now, because the 96 to 69 makes this the 65 to the 56 of blue. But, oops, sorry, it's 465, not 365. But yeah, white is now winning against Undergrab by $9.
Oh, boy.
Yay!
Move this.
All right, so that will conclude this first best of 5. Congratulations to Lilbow. He'll move on to the round of 8, or sorry, excuse me, from the round of 8 onto the semifinals. It's worth noting, though, the semifinals will not be playing today. That's going to be happening next weekend, I believe, or something like that. Either way, it's a date where we won't be available because we'll be in Texas / at a wedding. Next up, though, is going to be Drogo versus Daishi. Now, this is going to be PvT again, but I got to say, I imagine this one's a little bit closer. Daishi's been around the block a few times. I think Drogo is certainly a good player, but not nearly as... Like, I would actually... It's weird. Okay, so right now, my mind, and I could be completely wrong on this, you guys can tell me that, that's fine, but in my mind, I view Drogo as, like, the better player than Lilbow, but not the scarier player, if that makes sense. Like, Lilbow is more likely to hit you with an all-in, I think, than Drogo would be, for example.
I get that, for sure, even though it sounds a little weird. But for me, I don't know if it's actually going to be any closer. Daishi I don't want to say that he's in a rut again because I don't know his life, man. But...
Okay, I know where you're going with this. Like, sometimes it really does look like he's phoning it in. Like, the games we cast just feel like that there's not, like, he's just there to play because he has to be. But then we will see that odd game out of Daishi where it feels like the old Daishi, where it's like, this guy knows what he's doing.
I mean,
he's got a handle on the matchup, and he is an absolute badass. But that's like 1 in every 10 something.
Yeah, I don't know about phoning it in. I think he certainly, like, really wanted to qualify for WCS, but just that he doesn't... For me, like, he doesn't understand. Okay, well, anyway, like, well, we saw WCS was, you know, him getting, you know, pretty far, like we would expect from him, and then just facing a Protoss, and it was like a brick wall. Like, he had no idea what to do. So...
Well, guys, like they said, it's going to be an 8-minute break. So what we're going to do is, I'm not going to play music for this. I'm just going to take us to a break screen. I'm going to mute the stream. That way you can go about doing your other stuff without needing to mute the stream yourself because you don't like the music or something. And when we come back, we'll just start talking again. So pause the stream, watch the stream, whatever you're going to do. We'll be back in about 8 minutes or so for the next series. Whenever they're ready to go, we'll be back because we're just going to be sitting here. So we'll see you guys here in a few minutes, I guess. Thank you again to Riamar, and as well as to Private Wiggles for the 3-month resub.